Okay, in this video we're going to walk you through how to get started with the second multi-view drawing assignment with OnShape. This is an assignment that several of you were working on when we were still in the classroom, and we're using Inventor. So we're going to come back and use some familiar objects with OnShape so you can get used to using OnShape as a tool for the last month of school. So the images that you're going to be seeing here are very similar to the images and objects that you were working with before. Same assignment as before also, keeping things very similar. Draw one with round holes, one with a rounded end, counterbore, and then one metric drawing. So keep this all very simple, keep it all the same, and hopefully with the similar objects or familiar objects, it'll make things a little bit easier. The rest of this is all very standard to the last assignment. Just name the objects, the names that you find in the object sheet. And we'll get started here with the first object to give you guys a head start here to see how drawing things in OnShape works. I'm just going to jump in here to the first one, this frame guide. And working with this frame guide, it's a good one to pick actually, because when I do this, I'm going to see several things in this frame guide drawing. First is fractional input. Second, we're going to do a tangent surface here, hole, working with different extrusions and things of that nature. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into that. I'll go ahead and open up OnShape and go ahead and hit OnShape here. I want to then open a new document, so hit document on. And we'll go ahead and call this 6-69, whoops, frame guide, and we'll go ahead and get this loaded up. Okay, so make things a little easier, I'm going to try to set up my windows so I'm not bouncing back and forth all the time here. So bear with me a little bit while I work through this. So I can pinch a window here, and then also pinch a window here so I can see the object. Really don't like to do this, like to have bigger screens and all that, but this is the way it is. So here's what we're going to do. Go ahead and get started. Grab my sketch tool. I'll go ahead and grab this front plane, select front. Then I'm going to grab my line tool, and I'm going to work with this bottom line here, this 4 3/16 first. So I'm just going to go ahead and sketch out a line. Then I'll grab my dimension tool, select the line itself, pull down, and then click. Now it's ready for me to input. Now you can see it's in decimals, but if I type in 4 and then hold down shift and hit the plus symbol and then type in 3/16 and hit enter, it will accept a decimal. So that works out great. Now a few other things that we really didn't cover a whole lot before leaving school, but we were going to. Is constraints. I know in the tutorials you started watching before, talked a little bit about constraints and how they function, and then also construction lines. So this tool here turns on construction lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my line tool, make sure construction line is active, and I want to find the center of this line, not the center of the sketch, but the center of the line. There's the center of the line. That's that little square that popped up, and I'm just going to create a center construction line. And it's going to tell me that it is perpendicular there, so I'll go ahead and let that be. Hit escape to finish up. Now I want to add a coincident constraint where this point on that center line is going to be then linked to the center of my drawing. And you can see that pull over. That's just going to make things a little easier when I'm modeling, especially if I have to change this and stretch this part in any way. So it's a really good habit to get used to doing that. So with that set up, now we're going to go ahead and continue drawing. Go ahead and grab my circle tool. I'm going to come down here and work with these two tolerance numbers. I'll work with the larger tolerance, 1.5, and I'll go ahead and pull out, just drop a circle for now. Then I'll dimension it and go ahead and put in 1.5 as a decimal since I know that's going to work that way. And now I'm going to go ahead and start working in the thickness of this part. Well, I can see that the part is 7/16 in thickness here. It's also 7/16 in thickness here, so I can assume the rest of this part is all uniform. So I think what I'm going to try to do is just use my offset tool here, and I can select this line and then pull this arrow up and then hit enter, and it gives me the opportunity to change that distance. So I'll go ahead and just make this 7/16, and now I have that line set. Now I can go ahead and start working in the height of this part. So I'm looking at this over here, this height. You're looking at 1 5/8. So we're going to come straight up. Whoop, Mouse is moving on me. 1 5/8, so type in 1, again, plus, oh, I can't do that. There's old habits with Inventor. Got to go ahead and just click first, then I got to put a dimension on it. I find that sometimes some of those old habits die hard. So that's 1 plus 5/8, and then hit enter. And that jumps it into position. So what I can do now next is grab that offset tool again, select my line, pull this in the right position, hit enter, and it gives me a chance to change it. So there's my 7/16. That line's in position then. So I just cap this off. I'm starting to think about my extrusion here soon. So now I got the inside of this circle here. That's set up, and that's set down here. That's all nice. So now I need to offset that circle. Assuming this is also 7/16, we'll go ahead and grab my offset tool here. I'm going to go ahead and grab the circle. I'm going to start pulling out, and I'll hit enter. Go ahead and type in 7/16, enter, and then there's my line. Now I think I'm getting close. Close this off here on the end to starting to trim. So I grab my trim tool and start thinking about what do I want, what don't I want. Well, I obviously don't want this. I don't want this, so they're gone. And now let's talk about these. I don't need these or these, and this part's going to flow through here and come up. So I don't need this or this. Coming up and around here, I don't need this or this. So that's pretty much the shape of my part. Obviously, I don't need this either, so I'm going to just hit escape. I'm going to delete it because that is not necessary. So that looks like pretty much the shape. I can finish out and then hold down my left mouse, and I can turn pretty easily if I hold, hold my, my left, no, that's my right mouse, sorry, my right mouse. And then I can grab my extrude tool, come down here and select the part that I want to extrude. And that extrusion is going to be 1 7/8. So we'll just type in 1 plus 7/8, enter, and there's my extrusion. So now I'm ready to start to continue adding feature pieces to this part. I'm going to go ahead and start working with this slot here on the back side. So I'll grab my sketch, go ahead and add a sketch to the back, hit right so I can look at it straight on, grab my line tool. And the dimensions are driving this. I'm going to let this come up. I'm going to put a line in here 1 inch. So I'm going to find that little square, come up, click, grab my dimension tool, and then go ahead and set that up so it is a 1 inch line vertical. Then I grab that circle tool because I'm going to draw a circle here, and that circle is a 1/2 inch. As you can see it 1/2 inch up here. So I'll go ahead and grab dimension tool again, pull that out so I can see it off the part, 1/2 inch. And now I'm ready to start working in the rest of the geometry. So I'm going to come over here to the side, select it, come straight up, select that. I'm going to come over here, drop that in position, and I can go ahead and dimension that because then I know that this will be 1/2 inch. Now you can come down, and if this is all working out, this should come straight down and link up to where my circle was. So let's just sit there, move out slow. There we go. Now let's trim it up and see if we can extrude it. So I grab my trim tool, that trimmed off. Looks like I got all types of problems here though. So hit escape, see if I'm going to be able to extrude this or not. Yep, did some extrusion work here. So I guess those issues had to do with constraints, but didn't affect my extrusion here. So I want to remove material. So I change this from add to remove, and it's coming out farther than I need it to. Don't need to change this, but I'll go ahead and change that back just so it's the right size, and green check that so I have that extrusion. So there we go. Next thing, let's go ahead and work on the other side of the part here. We got to add some fillets to these curves. So I'll jump into my fillet tool and set up my fillet radius. Well, over here it says, here's my fillet radius. Fillet radius looks like it's a 1/2 inch radius for there, because this is 3/8 holes. The holes are 3/8, and then the spacing is 7/8. So looks like a 1/2 inch radius. We'll go ahead and set that up, 0.5. And then I'm going to, okay, I guess I hit this button here. Then I guess that takes me to Inventor or some type of a studio help. So anyway, there's my 0.5. Select the line that I want to make a fillet. There we go. Come up here, select the line I want to have a fillet, and have my Phillips. Go ahead and hit the green check, and now we have fillets. So now let's go ahead and let's start to set the holes up. Grab my sketch tool, select the face, hit top, sort of gets very repetitive again once we get into this. So I grab my hole tool, or my circle tool. Select, don't even select to sit over top of that point. Start coming down. I'm going to come over. Whoop, I already saw it. There it is. There's the square. That's setting up the concentric point for that fillet. So we go ahead and drop that in position. And now we'll go ahead and put in, that's a 3/8 drilled hole. So there's my 3/8 hole. And we're going to do the same thing down here. So grab that circle tool, and I can probably mouse down, and then it finds that point for me again. So I don't have to do as much searching. It definitely seems to be able to find some stuff quickly for me. All right, so I got that set up. I can finish that sketch, grab the extrusion, select both of those objects, and tell this thing that I want to go down to remove, and we can go ahead and give it that distance, that 7/16 distance, and we're good to go. So now we got those holes taken care of. Now, last hole that we got to manage here is going to be this tangent to surface hole. And it seems to me that it's a little bit different in setting up a plane that I've found so far than what was Inventor. But still, we got to add a little bit of geometry to make this work. So to get this hole here, this 3/16 hole that's 15/16 over, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab a sketch tool and place a sketch on the side of the part. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and draw in a line. And I want to draw a line from the top point, topmost tangent point, and just over. It doesn't matter how long this line is, because we're going to use these points on this line to make this work plane. So we'll add a work plane. Not sure what's coming up there, but we're going to keep saying okay until it goes away. There it is. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to grab this work plane, and I'm going to then tell this thing that I'm going to do a 3-point work plane. So the first point is going to be the end of the line. Then I'm going to use the other end of the line. Then use a point on the other side of the part. There is my plane. So that's good enough for me. You can see that that plane is tangent to the top arc, so we're all good. So we'll go ahead and put a sketch on that work plane. Wait till it highlights. Come on, plane. Did you highlight all right? Oh, no. Did you go in the wrong spot? Sketch. There we go. Might need to spin this thing around to get the plane on the right spot, but there we are. All right, so now let's go ahead and I'm going to set up a line coming from this point over, and I'll sketch it in. Go ahead and put this in 15/16. And now I'm ready to add a hole, which is going to be a 3/16 size hole, 3/16. There we go. And hit the green check, spin this thing up, and now we're ready to extrude. So we should be able to go ahead and punch this hole out. And I can see that it's adding information, so let's remove, swap that back down so it's coming back down through. And looks like I get myself a hole. And depth is 1 inch, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and just accept it. So now there's the part in a nutshell. Pretty basic workout here. Oh, nope, we're missing one more thing here. Missing a fillet here, and we're missing a fillet here. So those fillets, this is saying, oh, nope, there it is. It's a 1/4 inch radius. That's a 1/4 inch radius here and here. The rest of our fillets are 1/16. So let's go ahead and get this 1/4 inch radius put in. We'll grab the radius tool or the fillet tool, select this 0.25, that line, and that line. All right, that took care of those. Now let's add the rest of those fillets. I almost forgot there's a fillet here and on that other side. So fillet tool, highlight this, and that is going to be 1/16 radius. Okay, and I'm going to select that edge and give it a turn and that edge. So I think, nope, looks like there's one more fillet. A little sneaky fillet right there. All right. So that looks like I got that fillet taken care of there. All right, now I think we're good to go. I think we'll go ahead and lay this thing out in a separate video, and then we'll get to how to get this thing laid out, PDF'd, and submitted.